I do recommend that you start wearing a lighter color shirt.
We are
Am I
live.
disappearing?
Okay.
Hello, and welcome to the House Geeks Real Estate Show, sponsored by Bricks Real Estate. So today's topic is going to be Minneapolis in general, and then we're also joined with our broker, Danny Dietl. He does a lot of Minneapolis condos downtown. So we'll be talking about the wonderful city of Minneapolis, what it has to offer, why we think it's a great place to live, and then Danny will be providing some expertise on the Minneapolis condos and condo market. Should be a good show today. We were just looking up some prices on some of the really high-end condos in downtown Minneapolis. There's a lot of neat stuff coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, it's I can't. It's like higher than Minnetonka prices on some of the stuff.
Oh, some of the condo sales are the most expensive sales ever in Minneapolis, including the kind of the Lake Harriet, Isles, Cedar Lake, lakefront properties.
Something that's kind of surprised me in the last year and a half are the number of retirees, empty nesters that are starting to think about moving to the downtown area to kind of downsize and take advantage of the light rail, public transportation, all the arts, entertainment, great food, walk to the grocery stores. So that's been a neat thing that I've been seeing lately. Is that happening in Minneapolis, or is that more so St. Paul?
No, that's a lot of what's driving the Minneapolis market. A lot of people are giving up their 4,000 square feet homes and downsizing. There's an article that came out recently talking about how as parents pass things on to their children, China sets and that kind of stuff. Nobody wants it anymore. And so we are entering this kind of new world of where, we're a pretty consumer driven society, but this idea of like having a household of furniture that you're going to kind of give to your kids. And the reality is, most of the people that take it, they store it in the basement and they don't do anything with it. So, the empty nesters, so they're downsizing, getting rid of all their stuff, living a much simpler life. A lot of people, it's the second home market too.
Mm-hmm.
So they're back here during the nicer months as it's snowing outside. And then they're gone for 6 months and they can lock the door and be gone and not have to worry about the maintenance that you would on a big house in the suburbs.
Yeah, I've had a couple clients looking for those. They refer to them as urban condo or urban cabins.
All right. Are we ready to record?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right.
Yeah, this is $1,156 a square foot.
Wow.
All right, here we go. Welcome to the House Geeks Real Estate Show, sponsored by Bricks Real Estate. I'm Kirk Duckwell. Joining me is Chad Vandelot, and we are the House Geeks. Today we have in studio with us the broker of Bricks Real Estate, Danny Dietl. Thank you for coming out today to talk about the Minneapolis market, condo market, kind of more so, and just Minneapolis in general, and what is driving the market as fast as it's moving there, and where we're seeing things shift, as we were talking about just before we started the show here. So, tell us a little bit about your business and how you got to be working in that area.
I work probably about 50% condos, 50% single family. So a lot of what I've done and how I got into it was got into an office space in the North Loop. Probably 7-8 years ago now. So it was after kind of all the construction of the condos. It was actually when the market started to kind of take a dip. But really before the apartment boom. So we've really seen, you drive through the North Loop or anywhere downtown or
Well, it's
northern.
so much different than it was
Oh,
10
I mean,
years ago,
it's.
15
I mean,
years
you
ago.
could,
Yeah.
if you haven't been in an area, even St. Louis Park, right? I drove by an area in St. Louis Park, and all of a sudden there's a brand new apartment building up.
Mm-hmm.
So they're building them fast. But the trend's been towards urban significantly. More and more people are. Um, it used to be everybody that was moving there needed 2 parking spaces, right?
Right.
Now it's 1. A lot of people don't need any. They're biking, they're taking the public transit. Uber and Lyft has been great for that kind of stuff. And then, I mean, I grew up in Minneapolis, and when I grew up in Minneapolis, you had the Chili's and the Applebee's and those kinds of things. You almost can't find them. They're kind of on the fringe, in some of the kind of the first tier suburbs. But like the restaurant scene in the Twin Cities right now is just phenomenal, and the craft brewery and distilleries and
Yeah, I've heard that restaurant scene is becoming a lot tougher for the new boutique restaurants out there to cut it. But I mean, I do love the choices. It is sad though when you see a place go out of business.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing is you can have an amazing experience at a restaurant, and there's so many choices you may not make it back there for a year, right?
Mhm.
So they got they have to be smart and get into areas where they can pull kind of
Local business.
local eaters that are consistent, because that's where like the base of the restaurant business comes from is the regulars.
Well, I give you credit for, I kind of like draw my boundary at maybe 94. Getting into the city, just, I'm not a fan of city traffic. So yeah, walking around, taking Ubers, buses, whatever, light rail is probably a more friendly way to get around anyway. So,
Yeah, I mean, I'm still super dependent on the car. I'm not all that familiar with the light rail and all that, but a lot of people are.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that my people that I work with, they know every time I'm downtown, depending on the expletives that I'm using over the phone as I'm trying to drive around.
Yeah, I just avoid the rush hour whenever possible.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm definitely happy they're adding and have added those express lanes going in and out, definitely making it easier. So, what have you seen? You said about 7 years ago you got your start, had the that North Loop office, which was actually our first office that we had as Bricks Real Estate. I love that office. It's a fun one to go to right over by the Twin Stadium there.
Right.
But what have you seen as far as shifts in your personal business, shifts in the market, and what's it been like for you this year?
This year been a little slower on the condo front. I mean, a lot of it is just lack of inventory. So what happened when I kind of got into the market is you had a ton of accidental landlords in the downtown market. So you had young couples or young singles moving into condos, kind of thinking the market's going to continue to take off, and when it's time to sell, they will. Next thing you know, market took a big downturn. We're all familiar with what happened there. So you had all these people.
What year did you get? Was it 2005?
I mean, I'm 14 years in the business,
okay.
But in terms of kind of focusing on the condos market, 7, 8-ish
okay.
years, so 2009, yeah, probably right around there. So as the market went down, you had a lot of people that were kind of stuck, but it was that young kind of corporate person that was working downtown. So where the transition has come is you still have a lot of that, but it's also been you've had a lot of the empty nesters that we talk about kind of coming in and filling in, and you're even seeing people with young kids moving to condos in a way that you didn't used to before. It was kind of thought of like for either end of the spectrum, but not
right. Once kids came along, it's time to move out, right?
Yeah.
Because there isn't, you don't have playgrounds, you don't have yards, you don't have, taking a walk with the stroller, whatever, but I think that we're seeing, the shift that any big city would in that. I mean, there's families that live in New York condos. There's families that live in Chicago
My sister's
condos.
in Battery Park in New York with a kid, and it's an amazing experience.
Mhm.
My niece takes the subway to school.
Yeah. It's And so, yeah, I think that it was that mindset that when a kid comes along, it's time to move out. And I think people are realizing there is a lot to do and things. And I do think as well, I mean, I know this with the St. Paul condo market, that they're being more aware of having dog parks around, and trying to turn these vacated spaces into something usable
Right.
for families. So
Yeah, and it's still, I mean, there's still a ways to go in terms of the green space, but we're spoiled in the rest of the area, right? I mean, Twin Cities is always known for having some of the best parks in the country.
that's
So
why
when
I
you,
moved to where I did. Burnsville, I think, has the most acres of parks
yeah,
than any city. Um,
But even downtown, you've got really good bike trails where you get on your bike and, 10 minutes, you're in a pretty cool spot outside of the city with a little bit of nature feel.
right,
And in St. Paul, you can bike along the river. Minneapolis, you can bike along, take your bike out of your condo down to the river, go up and down the river.
yeah, yeah. I mean, the bike scene is just crazy.
well, that's definitely, growing. So, and now the winter bike scene. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
get the big fat tires.
yeah, you didn't see that a few years ago either.
No.
And now tons of people are riding around.
Yeah.
Those winter bikes.
And there's, I mean, the other side of it, you have a lot of drivers that are kind of annoyed, but I mean, I think it's worked out to be a pretty great experience. There used to be issues with kind of bikers, blowing through stop signs, not adhering to the rules, and
Well, now you have bike lanes too.
yeah,
that,
well, that's
and,
what I
and
mean.
roads
It's
that are
kinda,
meant for bikes. And I think that's helped both sides of that.
Yep.
Makes it safer for everyone.
and it lessens the traffic, of course.
So you mentioned 14 years in the business, but 7 years in the condo market. So what is it that had you kind of make that shift? What drove you to go, hey, this is something that I want to do?
Yeah, well, a lot of it was so you had the accidental landlords, right? I'm
Mhm.
down in the North Loop, and it was the people that were starting to have kids or had kids that were the accidental landlords that then the market came back. They were in a equity position where they could sell. So my specialty has always been kind of helping people move in and out of the downtown market. So the empty nesters that are moving in, as well as the kind of the young professionals that are potentially moving out to, even staying within Minneapolis, just something that's a little more single family neighborhoody. So yeah, it was just kind of those two things. It was it wasn't just just doing the condo sales. It was helping somebody sell their house, downsize into a condo, and then or selling the condo and helping them move up to a house as well.
I think that, yeah, that kind of tends to happen. We as realtors establish that, I've done a lot of business at Upper Landing, and I
Yeah.
feel like I am helping people move into Upper Landing from Woodbury, or move from Upper
Yeah.
Landing out to Woodbury.
Totally.
It kind of, for some reason, that is like the main spot.
Yep.
It seems like a lot of people come
It-
and go from.
Yeah, it just depends where they're at in their kind of life cycle.
Mhm. Yeah, so yeah, you start working in one area, and you find that people tend to shift from spot. Or I get a lot from moving from South Minneapolis down to the south suburbs, or vice versa, moving back from the suburbs back there. So you definitely, when you start working one thing, you end up working another.
Right.
What is it like? Now that you've been in Minneapolis, I know we've touched a little bit on the food and parks. Yeah, I mean, just some of your favorite places, things to do when you're hanging out. I mean, I know I love going to Stella's, probably one of my favorites.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite place is absolutely the dog park on the river, right?
Okay.
So, as soon as spring comes, dog likes to swim. Get out there. It's a great environment. You can go on the weekends. It's super busy and friendly.
I'm gonna sound naive. Where is the dog
it's right
park?
off 55.
Okay, so just north of the airport, like Minnehaha
Yeah,
Falls.
correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So they have a great off-leash park there. It's great to either go down there if you want to be by yourself. If you go kind of during the week, during business hours, or you can find time to go down there and meet friends down there. But that's one of my favorite places in the city.
Yeah, I find myself at the river park a lot. If I'm over in South Minneapolis doing showings, I'll just park and
Yep.
take a
But
stroll.
I mean, every neighborhood has its spots. I mean, there's not a neighborhood in Minneapolis that's like I would just totally avoid. I mean, there's great things everywhere.
Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break. If you have any questions for us, give us a call at 612-207-5388. Again, 612-207-5388. Also, check us out online at housegeeks.com, where you will find a whole bunch of great buyers and sellers, education information, our app, and then check us out on Facebook as well. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the House Geeks Real Estate Show on AM 950, sponsored by Bricks Real Estate. If you have any questions for us, give us a call at 612-207-5388. Again, 612-207-5388. And check us out online at housegeeks.com, where you'll find the latest and greatest home searching and researching tools. Tons of great videos, upcoming class schedule, and much more. Follow us on our Facebook page as well, where you can see Funny Photo Friday. Once again, upcoming classes. You can watch us do our show live most Tuesdays as well. So today we're talking about Minneapolis and the Minneapolis real estate market. Kind of left on a little bit of some of the things that we like to do. We have Danny Dietl in studio, who works a lot of the Minneapolis market. Thanks again for coming in today. And we kind of left off and got into the discussion during the commercial break about planning our lunches around driving in Minneapolis. And I know what is it, Nokomis Beach Cafe? Oh, that's one of my favorite.
I haven't been there yet.
Oh yeah, I just kill. Really great sandwiches. Love the place. Like, so if I'm in South Minneapolis, like I say, my line's kind of 94. So
Right.
so for me, it's make sure I'm hitting up Nokomis Beach Cafe, one of my favorites. And you were mentioning was it Matt's?
Yeah, so recently I moved out to Cottage Grove because we had small children. They wanted to ride bikes, so we got the house in the suburbs.
Condo hater.
On a cul-de-sac, but we moved from St. Paul. And when you move from St. Paul to Cottage Grove, you go through a shock of not having restaurants to go to.
Oh, come on. I mean, isn't there an Applebee's?
I don't think there was a Ruby Tuesdays, that closed. And then there's this horrible Mexican restaurant, totally Americanized restaurant.
Yeah.
But so when I get showings out in Minneapolis, first thing I think of is, oh, that neighborhood. Okay, that's over by Matt's. I can go in and have a Juicy Lucy for a couple bucks. Or, oh, this one's in the Midtown area. I can go to Global Market and have everything from African food to Lebanese to Indian, or pizza, and get a great baked good at the same time. Or if I'm over by Eat Street on Nicollet, I can go to Pimento and get some jerk chicken and a bowl of dirty rice.
Wait, where's that?
With fried plantains and spicy coleslaw.
Eat Street. Where's Eat Street?
That's Nicollet Avenue off of Lake Street. Heading north off of Lake on Nicollet.
I'll look for that.
You've never been to Eat Street?
No, I haven't. I love jerk chicken.
man.
That's one of my favorites.
But it's just a line of great ethnic restaurants. Quang is my favorite.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta check that out.
Yeah, phenomenal.
And St. Paul has some of those same attributes too.
I mean, I'm down in Burnsville, where we got the Cruise, and you got JoJo's, and places like that. So yeah, I mean, I think we become food geeks almost as real estate agents, because our lunches are on the go, dinners are on the go all the time. But yeah, I mean, the food scene in Minneapolis is just awesome.
I was thinking of removing my kitchen from my house. I just don't use it.
Ping pong room?
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
probably not going to help for resale, but
probably not. Office space.
I did work with somebody at one point, the younger single lady that looked at a condo and was like, "How much do you think it would be to remove the kitchen?" I was like, "Renovate the kitchen? Nope, remove it."
Wow.
She did not do that. So
I love it. It's the bar fridge.
yeah.
If I didn't have a family and I lived downtown, I wouldn't eat at home much. It's, you can take advantage of some of these happy hour specials and actually eat cheaper than you can at home and eat really, really good food. And the competition for good food out in Minneapolis is so strong. You were talking about, great restaurants coming in, so much competition being around that you'll see a great restaurant leave. Well, that brings the prices down when there's high competition because there's so many good options.
So, I mean, one of the things that we're seeing in the market right now, I just put out a video. Highly recommend if you're geeking out on real estate, check it out on our House Geek site, talking about the hot spring market that we're in, and is it a bubble? And the short and sweet of it is no, not really. But in the video, I go through why that is. And so, Minneapolis is kind of experiencing this exact same thing, and as well, which is just really, really low supply. What has been your experience, whether it's the condo market or the just single family market, as far as the competition that you're seeing out there?
Well, the biggest difficulty with a market like this, the type of buyer that's having the most trouble is the first time kind of entry level buyer. The amount of and the big problem with, everybody talks about when prices go up, like how great the market is. Well, it's great relative to your situation.
It's great if you're selling.
Yeah, selling or own the home, and you're just building equity. But the difficulty with what's going on in the Twin Cities right now in Minneapolis is affordable housing. So as we've said, and part of this is attributed to the investment market is very strong. So you had a lot of people, rents are up. So you have a lot of investors that come into the market and they buy the cheaper houses, renovate it, put a renter in. So that depletes the potential inventory that could be out there for an owner occupant. So, Minneapolis used to have one of the highest home ownership rates in the country. It's still relatively high, but it did dip quite a bit. And it's just very difficult. You'll see a $200,000 house that's priced well. You get 15, 20, 25 offers.
I wrote an offer on a property in South Minneapolis earlier this week, $320,000. I did my analysis. I think they priced it dead on for where the market should be value wise, and 7 offers, and we wrote for 10,000 over because I looked at the appraisals and automated appraisals valuations and saw that there was that room there in value, but even 10,000 over didn't get it. It's such a tough market for buyers, and that's a 320,000.
Right. Yeah. So the 2 to 250 market. But yeah, to your point there, so kind of the area that I live in, the Kenny Armitage, Wyndham neighborhood. I just pulled it up real quick. There's currently 8 houses for sale.
Starting price point.
Let's see what we got here. 279 is the cheapest house.
Wow.
And these are historically relatively entry level neighborhoods.
Right. Yep.
For Southwest Minneapolis. It's not Linden Hills. It's not Fulton.
Right. It's these little ramblers that, small.
Yeah, but you are seeing the pop tops, people building them up. But yeah, it's a pretty.
Oh yeah, that's definitely. I mean, I got clients out there. That's exactly what they're looking to do.
Yeah.
That's because they don't want to move out, but they want to get into that entry level
right.
property, but build it out to what they want it to be.
Right.
Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break again and get into a little more into the stats of what the Minneapolis market is doing in comparison to the Twin Cities in general. If you have any questions for us, give us a call at 612-207-5388. Again, 612-207-5388. Check us out online at housegeeks.com for the latest and greatest searching and researching tools. We're going to take a couple minutes and we'll be right back.
Man, that is crazy. There's one house, 2 houses, 300, 279.
Oof. It is so hard to find anything for 200 in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
I had one in.
Oh, the dollar per square foot. I mean,
save the conversation.
$300, $350 a square foot on some of this 700.
It's a great point because I had a phone call just yesterday, and I'll go over that.
The appraisers are figuring it out too.
Yeah. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, here we go. Welcome back to the House Geeks Real Estate Show on AM 950, sponsored by Bricks Real Estate. If you have any questions for us, give us a call during or after the show at 612-207-5388. Again, 612-207-5388. And you can say, how can you take a call when you're doing a radio show? Well, we record it on Tuesdays. So if you call on Sunday when you're listening to this, we'll be able to answer it. So, and be able to give you the time that you want to answer your questions. So, and if you have, a show idea, a show question, you can always submit those through our House Geeks website or through the Facebook page. You can put questions on there, and we'll help answer those as well. So we have Danny Dietl in studio. He's our broker with Bricks Real Estate, talking about the Minneapolis market and Minneapolis in general, as to some of the the trends that we are seeing. So we were discussing during the commercial break, some of the difficulty of finding some of that affordable homes, homes at 200 or a little bit less. And, I got into a conversation with somebody and we were discussing like South Minneapolis and some of the southern suburbs. And I just said, it really, for the most part, doesn't exist anymore. That you are not going to find something that's move-in ready for under $200,000 unless there are, some sort of large resale objection that might be going on with the property. Or just really, really small. If you find that 1-bedroom house or that very small 2-bedroom house that you may find a property at or less than 200. But we were discussing 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and for the most part, it's not around. I mean, certain locations, yes, you get whether it's Greater East Side, maybe South St. Paul, North Fridley, or not Fridley. Columbia Heights, you can find properties that may be 200 or less. How about Northeast? Do you see anything up there in that range at all?
There's nothing for sale up there.
Yeah.
And it's bringing the price of Columbia Heights properties up.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
That's the people looking in Northeast weren't able to find it. I think weren't able to find stuff. So I've been trying to get other clients to go into Columbia Heights, just across the border from Northeast. But
it's the same thing driving Richfield prices
under
right
200 up in Columbia Heights is almost non-existent now.
There's one house in Northeast under 200,000 right now.
Yeah. So
one house.
And this is just such a shift from 3 or 4 years ago, where that was not a problem. I remember when I had a listing in Northeast and it was 110 grand. That house today, oh my goodness. Probably 225,000. It's just such a change in the market. But, I do think overall, though, I mean, look at what that's done for Northeast, though. And now you're getting cool restaurants and cool things going on up there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, talking a bit about the stats. And if you're watching this on Facebook Live, we put a little bit of it up on the board there. I know it's a little difficult to see, but the main thing that's difficult right now is the lack of inventory. It's just as we discussed. There's one house under 200 in Northeast, and what was it in your neighborhood, Danny? That it was like number of homes under 300 was.
Yeah, well, yeah, in the kind of Kenny Armitage, Wyndham area, there's 2 houses for sale that are not under contract under $300,000.
Wow.
And these are historically, these are kind of your post World War II story and a half homes, and the pricing is starting to as neighborhoods get really popular. To your point about Columbia Heights benefiting, you get the bleed over effect from Lyndhurst and those kind of areas that'll push the values up. Kind of across the board, but it's everywhere. It's St. Louis Park, it's Edina, it's Richfield, it's Robbinsdale. Anything kind of on the first couple tiers out from the very urban centers.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think our market is seeing, kind of finally what the East Coast has experienced and what the West Coast has experienced. Now we're seeing that.
Yeah.
With
Well, the thing you got to remember too, what's driving this is it's an amazing place to live.
Mhm.
People want to be here, so it's it creates some other issues, but the quality of life here is phenomenal. And
Have they not seen the weather?
There's still things to do in the winter. There's ways to enjoy the winter.
cry yourself to sleep.
They
there's
really should allow
skiing,
snowmobiles
there's
on the roads.
drinking, there's
That would make it so
drinking,
much more fun.
There's drinking.
Yeah. Yeah. We got Winter Carnival, right? So, yeah. I mean, quality of life. The education that we have. I mean, one of the top rated in the country.
Yep.
So-
Lowest unemployment rate.
Yeah, job
High
market
wages,
is great.
educated
here.
workforce.
So yeah, I mean, you look at all of that, and this gets back to the bubble thing, and it's just another bubble. It's like, no, it's not. No, we have low unemployment. We have great education. We have in comparison, affordable housing to those other locations.
And economics is supply and demand driven. And supply is low right now, and it's so unbalanced on the low side that you would have to think that prices will continue to rise for a while until at least that evens
well, I mean,
out a little
basically
bit.
the baby boomers. I know we've had this conversation many times. Until the baby boomers find the single level townhomes or detached townhomes or condos that they are looking to purchase, our market's going to stay the way it is.
Right.
Because it's I know in Burnsville, like the average age of a homeowner is in I think like 55 or 60 or something like that.
Yeah.
For a single family home. So it's a lot of the housing stock is just being held on to.
Right.
And we're not seeing quite that push of people retiring down south that I think we used to. Maybe people travel more, but so I mean, Kenny Armitage, that would be considered like Southwest. I mean, median sale price up 22%.
Yeah.
Over same time last year. So you're seeing, the affordability.
Yeah,
it is.
That number's a little drastic. I mean, if you broke that down, I'm sure that's driven by the new construction that's coming in and doing the kind of the infill. So you're seeing, what's a median price there right now?
$397,500.
Okay. Yeah, so a lot of that's going to be driven by the $600,000 new build or pop top second story renovation.
I mean, Longfellow up 24.4%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the market's moving. And I think the one thing I said in that video, going back to that, is no, I would not say we're in a bubble because of inventory, but we are in a seasonal bubbles. There always is this, and it's because the peak pending sales is typically in May, okay? But peak inventory is typically in July. So sellers, no matter how many times that I say it, our spring market starts early. Okay, so watch that video if you don't believe me. That the buyers start shopping in late January, typically. Maybe start looking online, and we see the online trends right after Christmas. The online searching starts and it picks up drastically, and then it will. That picks up, and then end of January, people start getting out. They're looking. They're making offers by mid-February. And that kind of continues, but yet the inventory is still at December levels, kind of.
Yeah, and we've been slowing down this year by this has been a relatively brutal winter compared to some of the ones we've had in the last couple of years past, where it was warmer earlier on, sellers were coming to market. I think you'll see a big push in new listings come April.
Yeah, well, and if it's anything like the last 4 years, by that point, a majority of the buyers have gone into their multiple offers and locked up what they've locked I'm telling a lot of my buyers right now, just be patient.
Yeah.
You know, the worst thing you can do is overpay too much, you know, and we do see that example of where houses are going for way over probably than what they should. You talk about that chart on the board. I mean, we see that new listings, and this is the Minneapolis stats that we have up there, new listings down 9.5% over last year. Closed sales also down, but only down 7.6. So, you know, it's the market's still just being strained.
Yeah, I think it's a lot like a game of musical chairs, and the chairs just kind of keep being pulled out of the game, and eventually there's going to be one chair, one house for sale.
What's the month's supply?
Offers due Sunday by midnight.
There are no more houses.
You want to buy a house? Great, here it is.
Well, this goes back to our show last week, which is, you know, new construction is an option, you know, and how to look at that, and even an option if you are looking in the Minneapolis market. It's just how do you shop for that, and how does that differ? Or you can go out to the suburbs, and we're feeling they're the same thing as well as far as the strain, and so it is something to consider as you're looking out there. And so a little bit on that new construction side of things is some of the development projects that are going in downtown. You know, it seems like our skyline is starting to look more like Seattle's. If you haven't been out to Seattle, I think they have the most big cranes up in the United States right now. I think it was something like, was it 30 or 40 when you look at the skyline? So, it's crazy, but we're seeing that now in Minneapolis, you know.
Well, and with the exception of the Legacy building over in the Mill District, it's mostly been apartments. There was news recently that there's going to be a new development right by the Legacy in Gold Meadow Park called 11. It's going to test our market. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be I believe it's a 39-story building, 100 units, so only a little over 2 units of floor.
Wow. Okay.
And they're looking at pricing. I mean, we'll see what happens with it, but pricing that tends to be a little bit more in line with what you see in kind of New York or the very high-end Minneapolis market, but kind of more like a Chicago. So you'll see a lot of $1 million plus units and quite a few.
Not a problem. Just a cool mill.
Well, that's the interesting thing is $1 million downtown. Still get something great, but it doesn't get you what it could have got you 10 years ago.
So if you're looking for more square footage for your money, come on over to St. Paul.
Absolutely, St. Paul will definitely benefit from this.
Yep. I'm curious to see some of the developments that are going on over there as well. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And so if you got any questions for us, give us a call at 612-207-5388. Again, 612-207-5388. Yeah, call us during the commercial break. Make it think we're live. All right, so we'll be right back. All right, last segment.
Just in time.
Ready?
What's this one about?
Minneapolis.
Welcome back to the House Geeks Real Estate Show on AM 950, sponsored by Bricks Real Estate. If you have any questions for us, give us a call after the show here at 612-207-5388. Again, 612-207-5388. Check us out online at housegeeks.com for the latest and greatest searching and researching tools. Download our Home Spotter app, where you can have the same tool that we do as realtors right on your phone as you're searching around. So today we're talking about the Minneapolis market, Minneapolis kind of in general. We have Danny Dietl here, who's our broker from Bricks Real Estate. Thanks again for your time today, talking a little bit about the market.
Yeah. Right.
So we were talking about some of the developments, and you mentioned a lot of that are going up. And forgive me because I haven't paid attention much to some of the recent proposed laws. Do you know, is the reason they're doing apartments because the whole, have it for 10 years then condo it out thing, or did they finally pass that? Do you know the rule I'm talking about?
Yeah, the 10-year warranty on condos. So yeah, I think some of the apartments, I mean, there's a different requirement on construction to be condos versus apartments, but a lot of the apartments that were being built would be difficult to sell as condos just based on square footage. A lot of one bedrooms kind of around 650, 750 square feet.
Well, they condoed that out just fine downtown St. Paul. So,
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, we'll see what happens, but the 10-year warranty still applies on the apartments, but they own it and they collect the income in the interim. But yeah, we'll see what happens in 10 years when if these transition. And they'll probably just test the market, and if the market makes sense, there will be some of these buildings that will convert over to condos.
Yeah, and one of the things that I heard was they're trying to get rid of that 10-year 10-year construction warranty to actually promote people to build condos.
Yep. Honestly, don't know exactly where that's at, but I know there is an effort to kind of reduce it.
Right. Yeah, because there's definitely a shortage, and one of the things that we talk about down in Burnsville as well is it's just a shortage of condos, but nobody wants to build condos, right?
Yep.
Because of that. So, yeah, it definitely it's creating a strain on being able to provide real housing and affordable housing if your choices are a limited stock of condos that are
especially on the affordable part, right? So if somebody's going to evaluate or inherit some additional risk on the warranty period, then they're going to want to get paid for it, right? So the condo developments that you do see going up, the most affordable is the Legacy in the Gold Medal and by Gold Medal Park, where you can get in for about $350 on an 1,100 square foot condo. But the proposed buildings at 11 and the Lux over Northeast are really going to push the market in terms of price. I mean, you're going to see very high end builds. So, if you're getting a couple $1 million on a unit, you might be willing to absorb a little bit more risk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you mentioned that, the neighborhood that you live in. So what brought you there as to, okay, not only working in Minneapolis, you said, did you say you grew up in Minneapolis?
Yep. Born and raised.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's great. It's a great place. So it's been fun to see a transition. I bought my house for my dog so she could have a yard. So yeah. I'll probably go back to a condo here in the next year or two and get back downtown. Probably.
You're not going to go with that mid-century modern we were looking for?
I don't know.
Cool.
My ideal scenario would be it's where everybody wants to be.
By the way, I'm not dogging at all on Minneapolis. I'm just, kind of a St. Paul guy. That's where I'm born and raised. Yeah. So.
But now, the St. Anthony, Maine, Northeast area is pretty fantastic. Plus, with what's going to go on with the development at the river, all that's proposed there, it's going to make it a lot more like a Lake Harriet or.
Fill me in. What's going on there?
I mean, there's going to be kayaking and paddleboarding and restaurants all over, kind of by the Stone Arch Bridge area. It's going to be pretty awesome.
That sounds pretty cool.
That's going to be fantastic.
Right on the river.
Right on the river.
Huh.
Yep.
Who would have thunk?
Is that why they closed one of those lock-in dams, or they closed one or two
of those?
I
don't think they closed it for that, but I think the project benefits from it being closed, possibly.
Gotcha.
But we should find a link on just some of the renderings. It's really cool. There's going to be some really cool parks down there, and so it should be an exciting place to be.
And if you are, looking at the Minneapolis or St. Paul market, and honestly, we don't promote this a ton as far, to our website, but then ultimately we'll get you there anyway. Go to the Bricks Real Estate website where you can select the different neighborhoods, and you can pull up the different condo buildings and a whole bunch of information that is available there, and really just a great search tool to fill your brain with all sorts of neighborhood and community information. Yeah,
it's a relatively unique search tool as well, because there's not a whole lot of places you can go to find individual buildings and descriptions of these buildings and what they offer and what's available in them.
Yeah, how many different buildings we spent?
Oh, there's a lot. I mean,
yeah.
I think 21 in the North Loop, and yeah, you go into all the other neighborhoods. There's a lot of buildings.
So what do you, just kind of more on a personal level, I mean, what do you see as your goals in the industry? I know it doesn't have necessarily much, but I mean, obviously if you're doing more and more in Minneapolis, it might pan out into that, but like, you know, where do you see yourself? What do you want to do in this industry?
I mean, I just continue doing more of the same. I mean, like I said, I love Minneapolis, but that doesn't mean that's exclusively what I do either, right? So, so we've got we do a lot on the west side too. So the Minnetonka is, you know, we help people kind of, again, move in and move out, right? So, so continue down that road.
Well, yeah, we're just opening, coming up your office in Maple Grove.
Yep.
So we'll get you an office over by your neighborhood soon, Chad. Don't worry, one of these days.
Well, and the St. Paul houseboat to be determined.
Sailboat.
All right.
Sailboat. We could
We'll
sail
talk about that at the meeting later.
We could sail down to Cottage Grove. That's how we get that mobile office.
Nice.
You know, I think we're along the same lines. You know, what would you like to see as far as, just the last few seconds here, changes in the industry as far as which direction you expect it to go or would like to see it go?
In what sense?
Well, we're going to run out of time to get to this.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, I'm just, you know, we see. I hope to see that the industry become people realize it is a personal industry, and to yes, there's a lot of really cool tools out there, but then to be able to provide that personal service and education with it. It worries me when I see everything kind of shifting into this kind of tech and people steer away, but then they ultimately realize, oh my gosh, I do have to be personal.
Right.
And I think a lot of companies try to take advantage of that tech piece and then kill on the service. All right, well, we're going to finish up the show here. If you have any questions for us, give us a call, 612-207-5388. We'll be back next week.